everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather and today I am here to do a book tag. Marissa at Blatantly Bookish very kindly tagged me in this book tag, which is the library tag. And looking into this prompt, there are two paths of questions based on whether or not you use the library. Now mine is slightly complicated. I do use the library. If you're around here for a while, you'll know that my mother is a librarian. I worked there myself as a teenager. However, I haven't been going the past couple of years since the pandemic for various germophobic reasons. But based on the types of questions in the two various paths, I think the do using the library questions more closely match me, so I'm going to be doing those. Also, in order to make sure I get these prompts correct, I will be checking the list of questions on my laptop. So question number one, how often do you go to the library? Myself, personally, physically, not very often these days, like I just said. However, since my mother works there, she is there twice a week, so were I to put a hold on anything or need anything picked up, she could always, as Roz put it, be my library elf. Number two, do you belong to more than one library system? Not anymore. I used to. When I was in university in Pennsylvania, my student ID, of course, worked as my library card on campus. However, I also belonged to the off-campus library in town. So shout out to the Adams County library system for keeping me supplied with books as well. And then of course I still had my home library card in a completely different state. In addition, my library system is incredibly large. My library is part of a system which, if your library belongs to it, you can then use your library card very easily in any other library that is also on that system in your state. So that means I can access about half the libraries in the state at least. Number three, what percent of books you read come from the library? That's going to be very difficult for me because it depends on how my holds are working. I tend to use Libby and Hoopla a lot while I'm traveling, or to put holds on really popular books that I want to check out, see what the hype is like, but I tend to have to wait on hold for a very long time. Or if I'm traveling, it will be in fits and starts. So sometimes they will make up maybe half my library reading or slightly less than that, whereas at other times it might make up a very small percentage of my reading or none of my reading in a particular month. Number four, do you listen to audiobooks or get ebooks from the library? Or are you hooked on Audible or Amazon or some other type of system? I do tend to get all my ebooks from the library and a fair amount of audiobooks also from the library through their apps. We have both Hoopla and Libby. Audible, I do still have a subscription for. They have some of my favorite audiobooks that I own, and through them a lot of classic audiobooks are also free, or I have a lot of credits going spare, so I will use Audible as well. Again, it depends what I'm looking for and where it's best available. Number five, did you go to Storytime at the library as a kid? Of course I did, and even beyond story time, I was in the library all the time because my mother worked there. Books have always been foundational to all the members of my family. We were in the library at least once a week, if not twice a week, even before I was old enough to attend story time. Number six, have you ever borrowed a movie or a video game from your library? I've never borrowed a video game. I rarely, if ever, play video games, so I've never borrowed one of them. I actually don't know if my library lends video games. I know they lend board games. We have that, but I don't know about video games. But movies, all the time, especially when I was younger, even through high school and college. It was such a great way to check out those movies that I wanted to get to see, but I just couldn't get to the theater in time. And before streaming services, it was fantastic. Number 7, have you ever been fined for returning books late? And how do you feel about that? This is going to be a little bit of a confessional. So, because my mother and I, for many years, worked at the library, we could actually finagle the system and cancel our own fines. They were never massive fines. We never lost a library book. It was never tens of dollars. It was usually a couple of cents. And in addition, now the library has gone fine-free in the last couple of years in an effort to try and make families feel like going to the library is more affordable, especially if they're on a very, very tight budget. It helps make them feel less self-conscious. So I applaud that effort, and I completely understand why libraries will go fine-free, and I applaud them doing that. On the other hand, had I not had access to the other side of the desk, I would gladly have paid a couple of cents or a dollar for a library fine, because I know that money is going to support the library in some way, shape, or form. Number 8, do you attend special events, groups, or library book sales? When I was younger, I was part of all kinds of groups at the library that would put on special events. Some of my favorite memories were made being part of the Young Adult Council when our library was trying to grow their young adult department, when young adult was really taking off as not a genre, but as an age group. Our young adult librarian was brand new, so she got together a group of kids who were either staff children or kids who were in and out of the library all the time, who were within the young adult age group. And we would meet, is it once a month? Once or twice a month. And initially talk about the books that we had read, but also look at all of the books that she had ordered. And she would allow us free range, take whatever of these books you want, and when you come back to the next meeting, just write a review card for me so I know what you thought of them, and it'll help me know what to order, what to look for, and help me recommend them to other kids who might come in. It then expanded into a massive group, and my other favorite memory from that was putting together Harry Potter parties when the new Harry Potter book would be released. We would host an event for any children in the town who wanted to join and sign up to attend. And instead of going to Borders and picking up your new copy, you would come to the library. And we spent days, weeks, decorating the room and the hallway outside of it to look like the Forbidden Forest. There were tons of us on our hands and knees on the floor with pencils, punching holes in black paper so we could put it on the ceiling and it would look like the ceiling in the Great Hall. Making snacks, costumes, doing dramatic readings. They were incredible. Much as J.K. Rowling is saying terrible things these days, those nights were such fun, and I still remember them really fondly. I'm not so much part of a book group or any other special group at the library these days, but library book sales are my new thing. I almost hunt down library book sales throughout the warmer months. That's when they tend to happen around here. In fact, I just went to one last weekend with Marissa, and we're planning to go to another one next weekend that I may or may not film, because that may be a 2 library book sales in one day video, and I think that would be quite fun. But I have to talk to her about that first. Number 9, have you ever given or taken a book from a free little library, a book box, or a book swap? Not very often. We don't tend to have those sorts of items in my neighborhoods, at least. I've never seen one. The only thing I can think of was taking a book from a book box in college. I think it was where the college bookstore would put a lot of discard books. So the covers would be ripped off, but the rest of the book was completely intact. I did end up taking one book from there that qualified as the winner of a game that my roommates and I used to play, of going into the college bookstore and trying to find the paperback romance novel with the most ridiculous and hilarious description on the back that we could find. And so I found one of those in the Take a Book, Leave a Book, so I had to bring it back to the suite for all of us to look at and giggle over. I think I still have that somewhere. I'll have to look for that. Number 10, a bonus question. Does your librarian know you by name? Again, I am going to have to qualify this answer. If my mother counts as my librarian, then yes, of course she knows me by name. It would also depend on when I went into the library, because the staff that she works with has changed a great deal over the last couple of years. So sometimes there might be someone that I worked with behind the desk, or one of her personal friends who also happens to work there. So they, of course, would know me. But there are quite a lot of new staff behind the desk as well now who may not know me. And lastly, tag some friends. This is where I am typically really, really bad and chicken out, but I'm going to try and tag some people who I think have channels that could either use a shout out, or people who I think tend to use the library often. So I'm going to tag Karla, Kate of Kate How if she's feeling up to it, Lauren of Lauren and the Books, who I know is a fierce defender of libraries, and Shelley of Shelley's Swearingen. And the last person I'm going to tag is you. If I did not think of you, or if I don't know your channel very well, but you would also like to do this tag, please consider yourself tagged and leave your video down below as well so I can see it when you're done. So thank you again to Marissa for tagging me in this. It was really fun to consider my library usage and to think about the fact that I am still using it, even if it's not in the way that I used to use it. Let me know down below what your answers to some of these questions might be if you don't have a channel, or if you just don't feel like you have time to do this tag, but you can jot a quick note. Let me know, and let's show our libraries some love. Until next time, be safe, be well, and happy reading. Bye everyone.